All right. I snuck into the German priory, so just don't tell Ogden. On this channel, we discuss the factions that build, craft, and engineer the worlds we explore in our games, movies, and stories. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Tyria. In the following series of videos, we'll examine the factions, races, characters, and organizations that make and use the technology that shape the face of this magical world. We'll begin with the Asura, the people whose grasp of magic and technology is second to none, and without whom, the world of Tyria would be a very different place. As a warning, the following video does contain spoilers for the story of both Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. Alright, let's talk about it. Today, Tyria is a place filled with the mingling of magic and technology, from the vast network of gates and waypoints to the battle tanks of the Char, from the airships and reactors to the jade-powered city of New Canaan. The magic of the world of Tyria is mysterious and is constantly being studied. Its link to the dragon cycle has only recently been uncovered. The Asura have been harnessing the world's magic to power their technology for so long that no one knows when they truly began. It's speculated by some that they might be older than the humans, Norn, Sylvan, or Char, though this might as well be speculation, as it may be impossible to confirm given the damage wrought in the depths by the destroyers. The Asura are among the most prodigious scientists and engineers. They're raised to learn and specialize in one of many scientific pursuits. They go on in later life to join a college and participate in research, experimentation, and the ongoing advancement of technology on Tyria. By human reckoning, the Asura are fairly small, generally between 3 and 4 feet in height, slender of body, and their heads, hands, and feet are proportionately quite large. They possess elliptical heads which extend lengthwise, parallel to the width of the shoulders, and wide, articulate ears whose position can indicate emotions and expressions. They possess sharp teeth, and their skin typically has a gray pallor. They have large eyes that vary in color from one Asura to another. They're adapted to live deep underground in Tyria, and to subsist on the flora and fauna native to those environments. Their move to the surface has been relatively recent. Before they were driven to the surface, the Asura had built a massive underground civilization. They had many outposts and cities linked to their gate network. The network was powered by magic seeping from the sleeping dragon Primordus. Not much is known about the Asura at this time. They had little to no contact with the surface races, and those with whom they shared the depths are either almost extinct or scattered across the world since the rise of the dragon. In the year 1078, the dragon's champion, known as the Great Destroyer, used the Asura gates to send waves of creatures known as destroyers to overrun their cities. These beings, made from fire and stone and animated with the magic of the dragon, wrought a terrible toll of destruction on the Asura and eventually forced the majority of the survivors to flee to the surface. Some populations remained in the depths at this time, but they wouldn't be able to remain for much longer. It wasn't until the dragon's awakening that the remainder of the Asura finally came to the surface. Primordius awoke in the year 1120, and he and his minions overran the depths, forcing out not just the Asura, but other dwellers of the region, including the Skrit. Since their emergence, they've adapted to the surface and created homes for themselves in the jungles of Maguma. Their willingness to share their culture and technology have made them many allies, and now most Asura have no desire to return and reclaim their subterranean realm. The Asura have cultivated a unique philosophical point of view about the world. They call this the eternal alchemy. Adherents to this philosophy believe that all things in existence, whether large or small, are fundamental parts of a greater mechanism. This view includes more than the tangible material world, though. Every fate, every act is also connected in the same way, as part of the same machine. There are many gods and religions among the people of Tyria, and rather than condemn these beliefs as superstition, the Asura simply believe that these beings and their magic are themselves components of the eternal alchemy. This shows a good-natured acceptance of the beliefs of others, though it must be hard not to believe in one god or another when occasionally they pop in for a visit and half the world has to rise up to fight them. Something that happens with alarming frequency. In general, the Asura do not think of the eternal alchemy as something to worship, rather it's something that they examine as a means of inspiration for curiosity and study. Those who have studied the eternal alchemy often relate it to the concept of the All. The All is a symbolic representation of all Tyria, showing the spheres of the world as parts in a grand machine. The All is represented on the ceiling of the German Priory's special collections. The Asura developed the technology of gates and waypoints still in use across Tyria today. The primary hub of the gate network up until the coming of the Destroyer was the central transfer chamber located in the depths of Tyria. This hub was built over the remains of the sleeping dragon Primordus, and the Asura were unknowingly using the magic seeping from his dormant form to power their gates. Waypoints act as markers. They're constructed in various locations around the world. One can choose to travel from any one waypoint to another instantly. Waypoints do not allow travel when they're under attack, and they can be damaged. They also have to be built along ley lines. Ley lines are the channels through which the world's magic flows. Waypoints that are not correctly placed will fail and be removed from the network to maintain stability. Further expansion and development of this technology allowed the Asura to precisely map the ley lines and the movement of magic across Tyria. It was later discovered by Scarlet Briar, a gifted though viciously evil engineer, that there was a ley line hub located beneath the city of Lion's Arch, which led her and her crew to attempt to destroy the city with her Breachmaker drill to access the magic. Traveling via waypoints costs a small fee. The greater the distance between points, the more money the traveler will have to pay. Built and maintained by graduates of the College of Dynamics, the Asura gates allow travel between fixed points. In other words, rather than choosing your destination, one gate is always connected to one in a different location. The gates do not require payment to use. They exist in most major cities in Tyria and facilitate free and easy travel across vast distances. It should be noted that merchants wishing to move goods through the gates are taxed by the governing body of the Asura, who own and operate the gates. These fees are not applicable to individual travelers. Once constructed, gates have to be tuned to a specific location. This process is complex and requires more energy to facilitate travel over longer distances. This means that gates are not often retuned. This has led to a stable network of portals leading to and from high-traffic areas around Tyria. Gates are often found in secure locations and well-guarded, as with those located in Divinity's Reach or Lion's Arch. Others can be found located in wilder regions, and when not properly kept, they've been known to allow monsters to pass through and cause havoc. The first gates, located in the central transfer chamber, were powered by magic emanating from a statue of a dragon in the depths. It was later discovered that this was no statue, but was in fact the dormant form of the dragon Primordius. When Primordius' minions rose in 1078 and overran the central transfer chamber, the Asura were driven to the surface. When the dragon's champion was slain, the monster remained dormant for over 40 years. Asura study the sciences from their earliest days. They're known to learn to speak at an earlier age than children of other races, and are slightly longer lived on average than humans. At a certain point, an Asura may choose to join one of the three colleges. This choice will affect the materials, equipment, and studies on which they'll spend their time focusing. Each college specializes in a series of skills and studies. While it's generally felt that only Asura are intelligent enough to join a college, it is permitted for members of other races to join if they possess the requisite qualifications. This is incredibly rare. The only example at the time of this writing was Scarlet Briar, a Savari who managed to join only with the help of a sponsor and with special permission from the Arcane Council, a decision that was a cause for much regret in later years. The College of Dynamics is probably the most experimental college of the three. They are responsible for creating and maintaining the Asuran portal and waypoint networks. They are often also responsible for prototyping and testing many of the devices and tools which later find their way into common use, especially those of a combustible nature. The College of Statics specializes in construction and architecture. Asuran architecture defies expectations, and sometimes gravity. Members of this college are viewed as being more conservative in nature, though many of their number would dispute this observation. They're often responsible for improving and perfecting other forms of technology, and it's most likely their desire to tinker with existing tech rather than constantly explore new research, which earns them this reputation. The College of Synergetics is concerned less with prototyping new technologies or building experimental structures. They focus instead on studying the forces that affect and govern the way technology functions. They have a deep understanding of the eternal alchemy, and they use their expertise to explore new realms of science and philosophy. They're often viewed by their peers as being too focused on impractical matters and thought experiments, though without their contributions, the Asura would lack a fundamental understanding of the forces that govern the world, and their own technological development would have halted as a result. All three colleges are headquartered in Radasum, the capital city of the Asura. Each facility is located within and around one of the three corners of the structure at the city center. Aside from the colleges, the city also boasts several labs, portals to which can be found near the college campuses on the Creators Commons level of the city of Radasum. At the highest level of the massive structure, at the center of Radasum, is the Council level. The Arcane Council looks down from a floating citadel above the city center. It can only be reached via a portal located at the crossroads on the Creators Commons. The Council is made up of high-ranking members of Asuran society, such as the deans of each of the three colleges, as well as other scientists and engineers. Its purpose is to regulate the laws and actions of Asura within the city of Radasum. Their power rarely extends beyond the city, though they do control taxation of the Asura gates, which can affect trade prices. Life on the council seems boring to outsiders, though there's constant conflict between members, and potential candidates for membership often do everything they can to avoid the honor. From bureaucratic entanglements, which take aspiring inventors away from their work, tedious infighting, and the occasional assassination attempt, many Asura who find themselves on the council lament that they had to be fooled into joining in one way or another by a councillor who just wanted to get away from the whole thing. The council is also in charge of the primary organizations policing Asuran territory: the Peacemakers, who maintain the law, and the Arcane Eye, which act as a secretive association striving to ensure that the denizens of Tyria can pose no threat to the Asuran people. In truth, the powers of the council to limit the actions of the Asuran people are limited. Asura form or join crews, which are special groups formed around a particular project of science, engineering, or study. Once the goal has been reached, the crew will typically disband. crews are generally governed internally without oversight, though there is one exception, which we'll talk about later in the video. The Asura have a number of settled territories on the surface of Tyria. They first came to the place now known as Radasum in the Maguma jungle after being driven from their homes in the depths. A civilization that lived and died and has passed from history left behind the ruins in which the Asura made their capital. Once nothing more than an outpost in the abandoned ruins, Radasum has grown and now takes the form of a city built in and around a giant floating cube. It's from the artistic form of the ruins originally found here that modern Asura have taken their design aesthetic. Besides the colleges, labs, and council chamber, Radasum is host to stores and businesses, workshops, administrative offices, and halls filled with magnificent Asuran technology. Travelers will also find Asura gate access to Lion's Arch in the Arkentia Valley region. Radasum also, for those unaware, hosts the Super Adventure Box, accessible only during the Super Adventure Festival. The city also has access to the sea via the Port Authority with docks that lead to a bay between the mainland and Draconis Mons, with access to the Strait of Malcor. The primary means of access to the city from the mainland is through a gate in the settlement of Soren Dra in Metrica province. Other Asuran settlements exist beyond the walls of Radasum. An Asuran scientist founded the city of Radanovis in the tangled depths of the Maguma jungle as an outpost to research ways to defeat the dragon Primordis. The Radanovans allied with the Exalted for a time. Eventually, the city was overrun by Chuck, an insectoid species inhabiting Maguma's underground. Most of the city's population was killed, though some did escape. Rada Primus is a city founded by the Inquest, who we will discuss in more detail shortly. Its layout's based on the cube structure and size of Radasum. It's located in the sand-swept isles off the coast of the Crystal Desert. Rada Primus serves as a massive laboratory where the Inquest develops experimental technology from weapons to viruses. A large section of the lab is devoted to studying the magics of the dragon Kralkatorek. It's a maze of traps and is guarded by all manner of golems and robots. The ruins of the Asuran settlement of Radup 10 are located in the Steamspur Mountains. Built into the rock, the ruins are home only to spiders and rats. Radup 10 was uncovered by explorers and is said to be the entrance to an ancient Asuran city beneath the mountains. Whether it was abandoned during the rise of Primordis or long before is unknown. In the Draconis Mons region lies the former colony of Rada Arcanum, once a refuge for the Asura fleeing the devastation of Radanovis. The relative safety of its walls did not last long, as conflict with a local faction soon wiped out its inhabitants, leaving only golems behind. It's since been taken by the Inquest and turned to their purposes. Another notable Asuran city, located in the far reaches of Metrica province, is the Thaumanova reactor, destroyed during an Inquest experiment. Of the technology given to the world by the Asura, another example comes to mind. Asuran golemomancers, building on generations of science and engineering and using the innovations of the renowned inventor Master Snaff, use materials like wood, metal, and stone to create golems of all shapes and sizes to fill any number of roles. Golems usually take the form of a large trunk-like body covered in plating with stout legs and arms bearing all manner of tools and weapons. Golems can be programmed to operate autonomously, some are designed to be piloted by Asura and are used to aid in performing difficult tasks like mining and in some cases, combat. So pervasive have golems become in Asuran culture that they're found throughout their territory performing mundane tasks or standing guard. They can reason and respond to any number of complex inputs and stimuli, though they're limited by the programming and are not self-aware. Golems can be small, standing as tall as your average Asura, or massive and terrifying. There are many variations on the form, including specialized drone-like golems, tiny flying golems, even large cube-shaped golems. The most dangerous golems are built and operated by the Inquest, usually used to defend their secrets or were sent on missions to destroy or lay siege to their enemies, which brings us nicely to the last topic of the video. Finally, we get to the Inquest. Mentioned throughout the preceding history, they've been active throughout Tyria and have been active in a number of major events and conflicts, despite their relatively recent founding. They are a tightly controlled organization, operating as something like a crew, though they're closer in size to one of the colleges. Unlike the traditional Asuran crew structure, they do not work towards a single goal and disband, but remain as an organized body operating on their own recognizance. The Inquest are ideological and operate under the belief that the eternal alchemy is something that should be mastered and controlled. They're xenophobic and regard other races as worthy only of subjugation. Where the Asura moderate the boundaries of their research with ethical guidelines, the Inquest refuse to respect moral boundaries, believing that their ultimate goals are more important. They operate without thought to mitigate the destruction or damage caused by their experiments, and are often at the center of disasters caused by catastrophic failures or non-existent safety protocols. Look no further than the destruction and damage caused by the explosion at the Thaumanova reactor, which tore through the very fabric of reality. The effects of this disaster are still being felt in the surrounding regions. The Inquest is highly secretive and expects its members to serve for life. Defection or treachery are punished harshly, and Inquest agents act to hunt down defectors. They don't share their research and are known to sabotage other organizations' operations and experiments. Despite their reputation, they have some influence in Asuran society. There is an Inquest member on the seat of the Arcane Council. Even so, the Council will, from time to time, keep watch over the activities of the Inquest, at which time the organization often increases their secrecy and security to avoid censure. Alright, before we wrap things up, let's talk about some of our Asuran friends and heroes. Many Asurans have made their mark on Tyria, either through their contributions to the scientific, technological, or magical advancement of the world, or by showing courage in the face of danger. Sometimes both. Master Snaff was a golemancer who specialized in building golems of incredible size. He wrote a textbook on the subject. He was also a highly regarded magical theorist. Snaff joined the guild that would later merge with another to form Destiny's Edge. In their fight with the Elder Dragon, Snaff designed a device that would allow him to pit his mind against the ancient being. He was able to succeed for a short while before eventually being killed, leading to the dragon's escape and the disbanding of the guild. He is regarded as a hero in Asuran culture, and the Snaff Memorial Lab was dedicated in his honor, as well as the Snaff Prize awarded annually for innovations in the sciences. Zoja had been an apprentice to Snaff, and was herself a skilled golemancer and a member of the College of Synergetics. Zoja followed her mentor Snaff in joining Destiny's Edge. After Snaff's death, she went on to become the foremost authority on golems in all of Tyria. Zoja went on to join the Pact and helped create many of the technologies instrumental in defeating the Elder Dragons, such as the Megalit Cannon. She eventually joined the Astral Ward and currently works with the Rift Hunters. Gorik is an entomologist, working primarily with scarabs. Despite his secretive ties to the Inquest, his work was instrumental in helping the Pact commander to stop the Scarab Plague. He's since been of great help to the Pact in fighting off threats to the world, often supplying intelligence and logistics. And of course, there's Taimi, a former apprentice to Zoja and a skilled golemancer in her own right. Taimi was born with a degenerative disease that greatly hindered her mobility. She built the golem Scruffy as a mobility aid and as a means of participating in combat from which she doesn't hide. She's a member of the College of Synergetics, and first made her mark in events surrounding the Battle for Lion's Arch, something I will be covering in a future video in this series. Since this time, she and Scruffy have fought with the Pact and its allies in some of their most dangerous engagements. She went on to develop the long-range communication technology used by the Pact commander and helped to establish a lab at the Eye of the North to study the Dragon Cycle, to list just some of her innovations and achievements. Many more Asurans have, in one way or another, changed the fate of the world. Those mentioned here are either still active or exist in the living memories of friends and colleagues. Many more will come, and life for Tyria and its people will once again forever change. Asuran society is complex, but their innovative approach to research and knowledge, as well as their willingness to openly share their technology with outsiders, has changed the way Tyrians travel, work, fight, and live. Their technology is found in nearly every corner of the world, and few remain alive who can remember a time when this wasn't the case. Their research and study of magic and physics has advanced the cause of peace and security in a world often rent apart by gods and monsters. So, if you happen across a golem or two in your travels, or jump through an Asura gate to grab a bite in Lion's Arch, thank an Asura crew for keeping the infrastructure of the world running. Well, that's the Asura. I hope you learned something or found the video entertaining. Thanks for making it this far. I appreciate everyone who watches. If you liked the video, hit like. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And if you feel like I missed anything, or you want to add some interesting lore that I might not have gotten to, hit up the comments below. Oh, and before you go, I want to give a shout out to my patrons who help support the channel. Our $10 patron is Watuki at the artisan level. If you want to get your name in the credits, head on over and sign up. The Patreon link is in the description. You'll get access to an exclusive Discord as well. So, thanks again. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye, Internet.